very excited about every episode, which immediately precedes a UFC pay-per-view event. And there's not a more notable one than what's taking place at Sphere. Not the Sphere, simply Sphere.
Is that true?
I believe it is called Sphere.
So all of us have been saying it wrong.
Well, UFC Sphere, but is it called the Sphere?
I believe the venue itself is simply called
Wow.
Sphere.
You know what? Look at this. We're seeing all the examples here. Ticketmaster.
Just a few stats going into this this unprecedented one-of-one event.
Yes.
The previous maximum budget that ever went into a UFC event, production-wise, $2 million. This 10 times that has reached $20 million in production expenses. The reason for that being that what's it called, a truss, what normally hangs above the octagon to fix lights and cameras, it would serve as a visual obstacle obscuring the actual interior of the Sphere, which is all encompassing a screen.
Wow.
And so they had to find ways to hide all of that production equipment. It's never been done.
And they say will never happen again. Although that might be a promotional thing, like one night only, you have to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's very interesting because I watched a whole YouTube video. I forget where it came from, but the thrust of it was that the Sphere cost $2.4 billion to build and has been proving to lose money at an alarming rate.
Crazy.
And I said to you before we started recording that I wonder if, much like with William Morris Endeavor, which purchased the UFC from the Fertitta brothers, if the UFC is going to come in and breathe life into their business.
Well, there's a lot of interesting storylines heading into this weekend, in addition to just the fights themselves. Because I like this card very much. I know some fans were complaining about it, but I like it. The top 3 fights are amazing. But there's so many different subplots. Number one, Mexican Independence Day weekend.
Right.
Historically, that has been a boxing weekend. Historically, over the last few years, that has been a Canelo Alvarez weekend. He is fighting this weekend at T-Mobile, which is the unofficial Las Vegas home of the UFC. The UFC is at Sphere, which is not an MGM venue. Dana White has hinted, and no one's asked him about this for some reason to elaborate. He's like, this isn't about me and Canelo, he said. This is about me versus MGM. There's some sort of rift there right now between him and MGM, which I think is very interesting because if you go to T-Mobile, like the UFC logo is in the building. Like they're a home team at T-Mobile. And so Canelo's fighting at T-Mobile on Mexican Independence Day weekend. Here's the UFC who says, no, we want a piece of that Mexican Independence Day weekend pie, if you will, but we're going to go to the new kid on the block, Sphere, pouring all this money, both events happening head to head, a mile apart, and that's like in addition to all the fight stuff.
Oh, and it runs deeper than that because the rift between Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo, plus between Oscar De La Hoya and Dana, and Oscar De La Hoya comes out of nowhere saying that he is going to be in attendance at the UFC Sphere event.
With who? With Turki Al-Sheikh, His Excellency, who also has a bit of a rift with Canelo. He has propped up boxing, but for this one, they're sponsoring the UFC event, and he's going to the UFC event, not the boxing event, his first love.
Right.
With De La Hoya, a notable rival of one Dana White.
Right, and Oscar De La Hoya, he posted this outrageous Instagram video talking about how he can't wait to see Dana White face to face. He's so looking forward to it, and intimating, or at least suggesting that it was he was going to be Dana White's guest at the Sphere event, when in fact Dana says that that he's coming in on the Saudi Arabian guy's block
Yes.
of tickets.
What about Oscar De La Hoya's fake abs? How do we feel about that?
Well, that at the end of this video,
Yes.
he says, "And Dana, I see that you got the same ab surgery that I did."
think he did.
Which I, you know what? It doesn't look to me like Dana has had some kind of ab surgery.
What, you think he's really has ab surgery?
No, he's spoken. He's
he's-
very open about it.
People, that's a
You
real
could
thing.
sculpt them, yeah. I don't know how. I don't know what it is, but he talks openly about it. Like he's not shy about it at all.
What do you? Is it like taking the belly fat or enhancing the muscle?
Can I just say
Or is
I'm
it
very
like
jealous.
inserting something?
Who's running all of this back here?
We've got our own.
Shout out to this guy back here.
Isaac T. Patterson.
Isaac, you are the man. You know how many times I've told the guys, like, when I'm talking about things, I would love it if you could pop it
Yeah.
up. This dude, every time we say something, he's Googling it.
Yeah.
This is an unbelievable skill and a great addition to you, like what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I'm
Whose
tickled
idea
by
was
it.
this?
The RV came with a TV, and I think that it occurred to us
This is unbelievable.
way
Here's a
too
group
late that we could
consensus.
be using
Way
it.
too late. Yeah.
This
I think
is
like
so
episode
good.
175
It adds so
when we
much.
started
Listen,
using it.
So when they were talking about the Liver King having like ab surgery or ab implants, that
No,
was
they
the-
were just talking about him being on gear.
no,
You know,
but
he
they're
was-
saying that like
Yeah.
like go to the Liver King's stomach. They're like, dude, this is clearly fake six pack.
you think so?
Yeah,
But
he
how
was
do they
getting
make it
accused
fake?
of that.
I don't know. What's the same thing as like liver?
Ab implants and
so
ab
weird.
I mean, look
sketching.
at that.
Who does this?
It's insane.
Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah, clearly.
I mean, I don't think Dana White would do that, but who knows?
So the storyline of Oscar De La Hoya attending the Sphere event when he's not a guest of Dana White is
Yeah, so like I'm saying,
fascinating.
there's so many different subplots to this weekend, and it's been a while since it feels like Vegas is the fight capital of the world. Used to be for so long. This weekend it feels like the fight capital of the world. Like it never happens that UFC and a major boxing event are happening in the same place at the same time.
I find that interesting. Where would you suggest has taken that title from Vegas?
It has become a lot more splintered. Certainly for boxing, you can make a case Saudi Arabia is making
Saudi
a-
Arabia's been throwing a lot of money at combat sports.
Yeah, and they're putting on
UFC
really,
too.
really big cards, really deep cards, really stacked cards. So, look, Vegas is still, but it used to be just like Vegas and everyone was a distant second, right? And now you'll see events all over the world. UFC is still going to be here X amount of times. UFC 300 was here. The Conor card was supposed to be here. It's still Old Faithful, but for both of them to be here for massive shows on the same weekend, historically a huge boxing weekend, and the UFC to come in, UFC has always stayed away from this weekend. But it was only last year when they decided we're going to start doing our own version
Right.
of a Mexican Independence Day weekend. I think it's great.
It's been a long time since I gave you guys an update about my hot sauce, and I have big news. We are going into grocery stores because we've got a label without the word butthole on it. And I know that might be upsetting to a lot of you, but the butthole version is still available on Amazon. And we have a new flavor, Heavenly Jalapeno, which is ridiculously good. I mean, what can I say? I love my hot sauce, and I love it when you guys support it. So get it on Amazon, stevo.com, and soon enough in a grocery store near you. Thank you guys. I love you.